Hello everyone, my name is Álvaro. I'm the academic coordinator of the MBArch Urbanism, and in this presentation I'm gonna give you some tips, some ideas on how do we organize this master in urbanism, some changes regarding the organization on the last year. So it's a master which every year we implement some new things, some changes, and some new courses and so on. And first of all, I would like to welcome you to this presentation, and also thank you for being here. First of all, the MBArch Urbanism is part of the master's degree in advanced studies in architecture. It is based in the Barcelona School of Architecture of the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya. That means that inside this Barcelona School of Architecture, there are a series of departments, and our department, the Department of Urbanism, Territory and Landscape, is in charge of the organization of this master. Okay, so all the tutors, all the supervisors, all the lecturers you are going to have in this master, they are architects working at the Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, and at the same time, they are part of the Department of Urbanism, Territory and Landscape. This department is organized inside in two research groups. For you, at this moment, it's not very important, but just to let you know that all the professors you are going to have, the lecturers, they are part of one of these two groups, Laboratori d'Urbanisme de Barcelona and Grup de Recerca en Urbanisme. These are two main research groups with a long tradition of research. For example, Laboratori d'Urbanisme was founded in 1968, so it's even older than the Universitat. So it is this kind of research that I'm going to give you some examples of what kind of research do we do at the university. The MBArch is like a big umbrella with different tracks, as you probably know after Googling and after searching in the website. Basically, all the lines that you see in the screen, they are in Spanish, except for contemporary project, which is more at the architectural scale discussion about housing and so on, and urbanism, which is the one I'm now presenting to you. As you know, there is another track, which is the same title, Urbanismo, but it's taught in Spanish. Professor Francesc Pere has been explaining the track 1 hour ago. Okay, so it's the same. So it's the same title, it's the same, let's say, curriculum in general, but of course there are some changes because the professors are different and some courses has these different contents and so on. It's MBArch in urbanism. So probably for some of you, urbanism is a normal word, but for others, probably you prefer talking about urban planning or urban design, or even some of you are interested in urban studies. We prefer to use, at least for now, this word urbanism because we understand that it encompasses all these three approaches. Let's say urban design, specific design tools. Most of the professors, we are practitioners, so we have some connections with the reality, let's say. Urban studies, of course, it's a master, it's advanced master. So with this master, you could be able to enter in a doctorate program. In other words, it's an official master in urbanism. And the third part of this word, urbanism, has to do with urban planning. Just let me tell you that in our country, we don't have urban planners as such. So we only have architects that later they specialize or they work more in urbanism, but we are all architects. So, but anyway, we understand that some of you come from countries that they have urban planners, and sometimes urban planning is another different degree or a different bachelor. And with urban planning, we also understand that there are many things that we can discuss in our master. So this master, then, it's a combination of these three approaches. That means that the students that apply for this program, sometimes they are more interested in urban design, sometimes in urban studies and urban planning. And we mix all these three layers in the same courses, in the same results, because we, as a professionals, we don't divide them. That's the point, right? You are going to see later with the presentation of the courses. So it's an official master, the MBArch, and it's the continuation or the next steps of an old Urbanism Master of Research in Barcelona. That means that 30 years, this has been a master that was like the previous step before doing the doctorate. Today, most of the students, they don't do the doctorate. Some of them they do, but most of them, they just want to have a master. And this is also why we open a bit more our master to more different concerns or interests. So what is the aim? First of all, we want to train professionals to face the challenges of contemporary urbanism. Of course, we are going to introduce some things about history, some things about concepts, but also we want to basically challenge contemporary urbanism problems. To put an example, the master's thesis, it's a work, it's a research work, research-oriented work, which needs to face a challenge uh, doing research or a practice. You will see in a minute. Also, this master combines, as I told you, research with theory and practice. So we combine all these approaches. What does it mean? It means that some classes are more theoretical, others are applied lessons to some specific case studies, right? And of course, as I told you, this is a track that allows you to later apply for a PhD program in urbanism. To put it very simply, in Universitat Politècnica de Catalunya, we have a doctorate program in urbanism, and it's like a general criteria that students that want to enroll into a PhD program in urbanism in Barcelona, they need to take this track, Master in Urbanism, in Spanish or English, or at least they should course at least 30 credits in our track. So it's a way of trying to give you like the basics, methodologies, our basic approach, and also to learn a bit more about our urban language, let's say. So what else can we say about this program? First of all, it's a master in Barcelona, and for us, Barcelona is not just a city for living, it's also a laboratory. A laboratory because, first of all, it's a laboratory of urban design. So in these pictures, you can see some images that probably you know about the grid, about the super blocks, about 22 district, and so on. So it's a city with a lot of tradition of designers. And it's also interesting to know that most of the designers that has been reshaping the city of Barcelona, either they are part of our department or they have been learning or when they were students in our school. So there is a very close connection between our Barcelona School of Architecture, our master, and also the reality of the city. But also it's a laboratory of urban research. As you can see here, there are many images of Barcelona, and Barcelona is a city where we can learn a lot, but also where we can apply or try to imagine our knowledge. So that's why we say that it's a laboratory of urban research. There is a lot of publications, and for example, one of the research group of our department is Laboratory d'Urbanisme de Barcelona. It's not just a generic laboratory of urbanism; it's one based in Barcelona. Of course, as you, I don't need to say that, but Barcelona it's like a key city in many topics in regarding urbanism, and we try to use this as a point of discussion and so on. And of course, it's an international venue. You know that probably in 2026 there is the World Congress of Architects in Barcelona. So if you enroll in this program, you will be part of these many events that are happening. And here you have some images of other initiatives, like for example the Biennale of Landscape in Barcelona, some congress and conferences we organize together with other cities. Also, the Association of Architects in Catalonia is quite alive, and there are many conferences, talks, and so on. And also, we organize every 2 years a prize for the best doctorate thesis in urbanism, presented in any European university. What else can we say? Of course, it's a place to visit and live. And here we put photographs of part of our master. So we take the students to Barcelona. Barcelona is a book where we can learn a lot, and we visit it and we try at least, I would say that almost all the courses they have some visits to some places, some archives, some exhibitions, and so on. The Barcelona School of Architecture, for those that perhaps you are not very familiar, is one of the biggest schools of architecture in Spain, the biggest one in Catalonia, and as you can see, the numbers: 3,000 students of architecture, and from them, well, you see 800 masters and doctorate degree students. So it's a lot of people. Uh, the building is better that you experience by yourself when you come here. But basically, there are two buildings, and then a very big library, very interesting one. And also, we organize the spaces in different ways with different workshops and so on. Okay. So, what's about our track? Well, our track is about urbanism, and our courses also try to focus on things that we can touch and we can discuss about because we are next to it. So what does it mean? That it means that, for example, the theoretical topics, the assignments, a course trip that we do, a study trip, and some exhibitions we do, they are related with Mediterranean urbanities. That means that, for example, all the courses try to put examples of housing or about history or about green and blue infrastructure, for example, using our context, which is the Mediterranean basin, as you know. Um, that means that all the cases we are going, no, it's not just all of it is about Mediterranean, but we believe more in the local capacity and understanding of the social and urban context as a way of approaching our complexity in our world. The master's thesis most of the time is connected with Mediterranean case studies, but it's not a must. I mean that we have students that come from other parts of the world. They come with other case studies or cities they know, and what we try is to connect topics, even though they are different case studies than the one from Mediterranean basin, but we try to connect with the topics and try to make a bit more connected. But we believe that local is one of the things that we can offer, at least to from Barcelona. What are we talking about? We talk about urban form. Yes, our department is very much linked with the idea of urban form, about urban history as a consequence of that, urban design. We talk about the scale of territories, but at the same time also we discuss about cities. And sometimes we discuss also about urban architecture. So we reach the level of architecture sometimes to express or to understand some things that are happening in our cities. We discuss about topics like mobility, foodscapes, housing, production, experience also of the public space, conflict in cities, ecology, tourism, and of course we try to give new scenarios. So we want to understand all these topics to provide new scenarios on urban regeneration, on urban form and activities, cultural landscapes and territories, urban projects and infrastructure, metabolism and ecology, mapping and network analysis, as well as present feminism and urbanism. Of course, as you can see in this scheme, you could say, oh, there are all the words we can discuss about in urbanism. Yes. So the idea is that what we offer is not just a discussion on a topic, it's not a master on mobility, it's not a master on housing, it's not a master on production or urban history. But what we offer is a way of addressing these topics with our own methodology, with our own, let's say, approach to the city, which is quite particular from our school and our department. Mm, what else can we say? Well, a bit more practical things. We have two ways of doing the master. The first and most common and recommended one, perhaps for all of you, could be single specialization. So you do master in urbanism, 60 credits in 2 semesters. Um, as you know, there is an organization of 3 compulsory courses and 6 elective courses. That means that in theory, you should take the 3 compulsory courses, and the 6 elective courses could be from any other track, including the one in urbanism. The reality is that, first of all, not all the tracks are in English, and second, sometimes there are some difficulties with the schedules of other tracks. So that is why normally what we get is the students that do these numbers. So they take the 3 compulsory courses, they take the 6 elective courses we offer in our track, and then they do the master's thesis. But also, let me introduce another way of doing that, what is called double specialization. What does it mean? It means that you take master in urbanism and another track. So instead of 60 credits, what you do is 90 credits. That means that you need 3 semesters instead of 2. So you take the 3 compulsory courses from master in urbanism, the main track. You take then 10 elective courses, 5 from urbanism and 5 from any other track you would like. And then the master thesis is just one master thesis with 2 tutors. To be very fair about this option, it's a good option, of course, it's a bit longer, but what we try is to prioritize the admission, because we have a lot of candidates, the admission to those students that either they take this single specialization, so they do just master in urbanism, or they decide for double specialization, taking urbanism as the main track. This has a simple explanation, is because these compulsory courses are taken are from the main track. So if you take another track and then you come to urbanism, you will miss 3 compulsory courses that for us are, let's say, a strategical key basic for understanding the concepts. All right. In any case, this is just the general numbers, and every case we try to give the best answer as we can. Okay. Part-time, well, it's another option, is to take a minimum of 15 credits per semester, but we don't really recommend this because we design the master every year. So we try to think that this is the master of 25, 26, and perhaps next year we are going to change some professors, we change the schedules, we change some courses, and it's always better to have, let's say, an intensive specialization. Also, just give you a bit more, let's say, options that you can do in our master. We have a very powerful and interesting program with Shanghai, the Chongqing University, one of the best and biggest universities there. And what we offer is, instead of doing just one single track, you can do Barcelona and then you travel to Shanghai. You do another master, could be in architecture, landscape, or urban planning. And then what you need to do is just one single master's thesis. You defend in Chongqing and then you defend in Barcelona, and then you will get the 2 masters in 2 years, right? With one single master's thesis. Of course, if you are interested about this kind of programs, we are going to discuss in September once you are already in, or you can write me an email anytime. What else? To be a bit more specific about the MBArch next year. Sorry for the mistake here. We are going to start the first semester with a intensive workshop of 2 weeks. Okay, it's part of a course which is called Territory as Architecture, which is basically a workshop on mapping, hand mapping, digital mapping. Then, after this intensive workshop, we are going to have 5 courses. On Monday, Architecture, City and Project. Tuesday, Contemporary Residential Urban Project. Wednesday, Architecture, Environment and Technology. Thursday, Architecture, Theory and Criticism. And Friday, Public Space. On the second semester, we are going to have a study trip, late January, to be organized, to be decided and so on. And then on the second semester, we have only 3 courses, which are Cultural Landscape, Designing the Cities, and Crucial Aspects of Urban Projects. And then you have also the master's thesis. The master's thesis, it's a big work, it's a long work, and you need to have time to develop it as good as possible. Okay. Let's see some images of these courses. This is, for example, the first workshop we do during the first 2 weeks, which basically we introduce some concepts about mapping, of course, as you can see in the image. Let's see, historic mapping and cartographies. Then we work a bit on Barcelona doing hand mapping, and then we do in 2 weeks an intensive on GIS, QGIS, to map some territories using these tools that for us they are basic, let's say, for all the courses, right? After these 2 weeks, we start with the courses. This is, for example, Architecture, Theory and Criticism. which is one of these mandatory compulsory courses, where we discuss 10 key urban concepts in theory and then in practice. For example, the idea of density, or the idea of morphology, or the idea of accessibility, and then we discuss them, and then we do some, let's say, 10 practices, 10 assignments discussing each of these concepts, right? Another course is called Architecture, City and Projects, where we, let's say, try to attend or to understand the city more from a perspective of history, culture, and the transformation of cities. In this course, as you can see in these pictures, you are going to use some of the tools that you already uh, learned during the workshop, like this GIS mapping, but also you are going to reach the scale of the building, the scale of the markets, the scale of the street. So it's urbanism as we understand it, from the scale of territory to the scale of the buildings and the form of the city. The third course, which is also compulsory, we call it compulsory, it's Architecture, Environment and Technology, and it's basically about blue and green infrastructure and also sustainable mobility. So we put them all together in this course. We start with blue and green infrastructure, not only at the level of theory or discussion of concepts, but also we do here in this course a project. Of course, a small project, small practice, small assignments, in one of the areas in the Barcelona region. The fourth course, which is an elective course, in fact, but as you can, as I told you, it's like, let's say one more of our track, is called Residential Housing Project, contemporary one, and we focus on housing design. We go to some places in Barcelona, some cooperative housing. We studied some historical examples in the Mediterranean basin of how to put density, housing density in our compact cities like Barcelona or any other cities. And last but not least, we also have a course which is about public space. And in this course, what we want is to understand why Barcelona public space is so important, so relevant in the discussion. And what we do is we do some visits, as you can see in the pictures, and we also have lessons. The lessons on the history of Barcelona. So Barcelona, as I told you, is a book, and we need to learn a bit more about how is it made, the history, and also the public space policies and design strategies. On the second semester, as I told you, we go for a field trip. In here, you have images from 2 years ago where we visit Marseille and Montpellier in south of France. And then this year, we travel to Napoli. This trip takes 3 or 4 days. It's an optional trip, but most of the cases, the students, they really like and enjoy traveling with the professors that make a program and so on. On the second semester, only 3 courses. First one is Cultural Landscape, Heritage and Territorial Design, and we go to the largest scale we can imagine as architects, which is the scale of the territory. It's a course that, as you can imagine, also in other courses, is basically based on graphic analysis, drawing, mapping, and understanding the form of the territory, and of course the function of the territory. And for this course, we normally work with one case study, a city nearby Barcelona, where we can discuss the territorial scale and also the form of the rural areas which are surrounding these cities. The second course is the one that is perhaps tries to go far away from Barcelona, and we are going to travel to other cities where we could discuss about emergency, not only about emergency understood as cities at war or post-disaster territories, but also emergency in the sense of emergent, which means a new urban context worldwide. So we are going to discuss Latin America examples. We are going to discuss North Africa and other areas where we can discuss about urbanism, of course, from a humble position from Barcelona. So we are going to help you to understand other logics that are also part of our urban discussions today. And last but not least, we also have another course, which is a very much practical course, which is about design. About design. Normally, we do design, but we don't think about design. And this course is about bringing you the origins, the concepts, and strategies also on contemporary urban projects. In this course, we are going to give you a lot of examples on how designers, especially in Barcelona, but in other contexts as well, how designers work with some problems that then probably you will face in the future. So it's a very practical course where we are going to test some tools and some design strategies in urban design. What else? Okay, this master is not only taught by professors, but also we invite people from Barcelona. For example, here you can see Salvador Rueda from who gave us a lecture on the superblocks, or Marc Mongeau, who is an expert on the introduction of nature and the benefits of nature in cities. But also sometimes we go at the lowest scale we can imagine. For example, this prototype of housing developed by Straddle 3. Also, we discuss about participation or collaborative strategies. So we get a number of invitees and professors that take part in our discussions, and then we can open a bit more our field to other areas. The master's thesis. Well, the master's thesis, as I told you at the beginning of the presentation, you need to. It's a book. It's a booklet, let's say, where you need to develop or to answer a challenge, a contemporary challenge, and then you can develop this using more theoretical approach, more graphical. Most of the time, this is graphical approach. And here, for example, you have 4 examples of master thesis. The first one was about how can we evaluate the impact of mass regeneration projects. In this one, the author, she wanted to understand uh, the culture intersections in Dubai, public spaces. In this case, she wanted to understand public housing in Shanghai, and then she compared with Barcelona. Or in this case, Ahmed wanted to understand what could be the future of a very neglected city in nearby Cairo, New Cairo, discussing some urban parameters we can discuss, like the grid patterns. These are like 4 examples, but you can find most of them in our websites. The department, it's a big department with more than 70 professors, but in our master track we are going to have these professors here, which I present you briefly. We have Inés Aquilué, Miquel Martí, Melissa Pessoa, Eulalia Gomez, Carles Crosas, Stefano Cortelaro, Catherine Golda, Alex Jimenez, and myself. Okay, we organize. Sometimes we work in pairs, so a course is taught by 2 professors. Sometimes it's just one professor that takes all the course, and we try to approach urbanism from different perspectives, starting from more engineering design oriented approach to more metabolism and more connected with other topics like water and green infrastructure, also including participation, etc., etc. What else can we say to you? Well, of course, probably you know that there is an Instagram where we try to show what the students do and we do in our master. I think it's the best way to have a grasp of what we offer in our track. We try to put it for free and to open so that you can really see what we do, the places we visit, and so on. Just two last things, also interesting ones. Our master is connected with a network of masters in Barcelona. You can find them all here, which are related with anthropology, world history, logistics, and other universities, the UAB, the URL, the UB. And with this master, what we organize is like a weekly lecture seminar. And if you take part in these seminars, then you can take, let's say, like a certificate of participation in what is called an interdisciplinary research seminar. Also, there is a final thesis award on this initiative. So it's also a nice way of connecting with other people and interest. And also, we offer in Spanish and also in English 2 grants um, uh, offered by the Municipal Institute of Urbanism in Barcelona, so the city council. And the idea is that this scholarship uh, refunds the cost of the enrollment to the MBArch, considering the European prices. And students should develop a master's thesis which is on urban regeneration. Of course, the topic will be discussed with a professor of our master and also validated by the institute. This procedure will open after your enrollment, but if you are already interested, you can write. If you are interested in the Spanish program, you can write to Julian Galindo, Professor Julian Galindo, or if you are interested in the English, let's say, track, you just write me an email. So I'm interested in this program, in this scholarship. What could I do, etc. Okay. More information if you are interested in administration and things about your degrees or things that has to do more administration procedure. You have here the link. Probably you know already. And if you are interested in academic content, we have the website as well. And of course, you can write me an email, and we are going to try to give you the best and quickest answer as possible. Some important dates that probably you have in mind, but important from now, well, from January, from yesterday, let's say, to July the 1st, we receive applications. And once we receive the applications, first of all, there is the administration process where they validate everything is okay. And once everything is validated, then we receive the applications and we program with you a personal interview. We want to check some things, so your interests, your curriculum, your portfolio. We want also to talk with you and to listen your questions. And as soon as we do the interview, it's better for you. Why? Basically, because if you wait until July the 1st, then probably perhaps you don't have a place. Why? Because we start accepting and rejecting students as soon as possible, so that people can get visa, can get, let's say, this kind of permits and so on. And also we want to get a group no bigger than 20 students. That means that once we receive 20 students, we will close, let's say, the enrollment, and it's okay for us. Okay, so don't wait until the very last moment. Or at least if you are intent, I need to wait because I need a paper, at least write us an email. I'm interested in the program, but I want to apply at the very end because I have this problem. Okay, say that, but at least to have in mind that you are interested in the program, so that we can evaluate how do we decide for the applicants. And the starting of the course is probably September 24th, but is to be confirmed by the school. I think for me it's everything. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will be very happy to answer your questions